Alright, so I got interrupted on that last video, but I've taken what Bard added to the code that he gave me, and I gave it back to him and asked him what he thought, and he says it looks like I've made some great improvements to the code. Here are a few additional suggestions, and he gives me some more suggestions. So I tell him, awesome, what would the code look like incorporating your suggestions? And he says, here's the updated code incorporating the suggestions. And he gives it to me. So I take that, I put it back into Bard and tell him the same thing. And he suggests improvements. And I ask him to generate the code of what it would look like with his improvements. He gives it to me. I give it back to ChatGPT, and he gives me an updated code, and after he gives me his updated code, I go back to Bard and I do the same thing, and I get what I got from Bard and I put it in right here. I say I've made some changes to the code, which is actually Bard making the changes. Can you look it over and tell me if I missed anything or if it still needs improvement before implementing it? And I give him the code that Bard gave me and the stuff that Bard added to it. He says it looks good, however, there are a few things you could consider to further improve it, and that's implementing these things. And so I tell him, can you show me what the code would look like by incorporating your suggestions? He's like, sure, here's what it would look like incorporating my suggestions, my suggested changes. And he updates the code. And we go back and forth and back and forth. And this is from Bard. And then he gives me more suggestions. And then we get all the way down to it until finally we have a completed code that's ready for implementation, which I've got right down here. We get to some minor changes. And so he gives me a new code. And I take it to Bard. And Bard says, yeah, but you could add this. And I get him to do it. And I paste it back into here, which is what all of this stuff is. And he's like, yeah, it looks good, blah, blah, blah. Overall, nice job. And I ask him to update it again, incorporating his few minor suggestions, and he does. And then we go on to further details about how to implement it after we get down to it. And he tells me exactly how to do it, and I'm working on that right now to actually implement this code into an app. So anyways, that's how you do it. That's how you get the AI to generate the code you want for an app or a program that you want to operate a specific way. Anyways, peace.